Over in Cambridgeshire, Simon and Jacqueline Saggers are a 21st century incarnation of this much-loved 70s legacy.
I think Tom and Barbara's motivation was really lifestyle. You know, they wanted to get out of the rat race, get out of the whole idea of just having to earn money for a living and not do anything else. Growing things, being in touch with the land, all those things I think are always going to be important for us humans. So I think it's a really deep-rooted and primeval thing that they touched in. I think that's partly why it's so successful.
Born in the 1970s, these same issues still drive green politics today. But it's how we grow our food that is underpinning Simon's 21st century good life.
Now we understand that the food system that we're running is so intensive, you know, it's so resource heavy, that we need to start looking at that and addressing it, instead of having a farm where you've got one man running 1,000 acres really just because of oil, which, you know, albeit a fantastic substance, is going to run out. And we need to try and find ways to get more people back onto the land, actually living and working and doing it in a way which isn't oil dependent and which does as well give us a more fulfilling lifestyle.
Whilst motivations for living the good life have evolved, there's no denying that getting greener fingered has something to offer us all.
I think there isn't anything better than growing the food that you eat, where you're actually able to go and dig potatoes or harvest your runner beans and take them straight into the kitchen and cook them. That's a fantastic thing to be able to do, and everyone can do it more than we're doing at the moment. You know, even on a small scale, in small gardens, people can get involved in growing their own food.
Turning back time like this isn't exactly many people's idea of progress. But as third-generation farmers on the same plot, the Saggers knew they could make it work.
It was once a mixed organic smallholding here. We're repeating history, but Simon's father took it to the intensive farming that was the norm when he was a young man. So battery chickens was something that, you know, was being encouraged and funded from government. So that's the route he went. That was what his life was about. So for him to see us take on a handful of chickens, you know, just for a small number of eggs, and then do the vegetables and the fruit and the honey, he just thought, how can that patchwork really work? How can that be a proper living? And that's where I think they were just very apprehensive that we'd gone down the wrong route.
But it turns out, as well as managing to grow most of their own food, any spare produce has been easily sold through their own veg box scheme.
I really do think people are wanting to eat more healthily and more ethically. The very fact we're a very small organic box supplier and we've got a constant waiting list and people ringing up all the time wanting to find out if they can join the list, because not very many people do fresh food cut that day. You know, they do a lot of organic box schemes around the country. But to actually know you've picked it up that afternoon and it was cut that morning, I think people are kind of beginning to realise that the fresher the food is, the healthier it is.
Buying organic, local, fresh produce has seen food become central to the whole environmental movement.
But where on-screen pioneers Tom and Barbara Good played to a stereotype with their pea-pod burgundy and back garden methane generators,
living the good life now is as much about accepting the global need to develop sustainable lifestyle as it is about, well, living a good life.
So, homemade elderflower champagne.
Homemade?
Homemade.
No, I'm done.
I would definitely prefer to be living the good life now compared to the 1970s. We're just all so much more knowledgeable about what we're doing in terms of growing the food, presenting the food, eating the food, cooking the food. I mean, it's a more sophisticated and more exciting game now.
I think that the term the good life means so many different things to so many different people, and ultimately everyone's got to find their own answer to what the good life is. For us, it's been about real change that does mean that we are able to live more sustainably, closer to the land, and without the resources that we're currently gobbling up.